Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Digital Classroom. Are you ready for it? We are. And we are waiting for YouTube to start. And YouTube is actually started at the moment. So we are ready for Digital Classroom. So let's start the bumper so you guys know what you're watching. Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Digital Classroom. Now, we're looking forward to it. We have a nice episode planned with our model Ingrid. And Ingrid, great model, so it's gonna be fun. Now, let me first explain to you guys what is Digital Classroom. Now, you probably know me, I love social media, and I most of all love sharing and education. I think one of the most important things is that people start to realize that lighting is the language of photography, and that if you know that language well, you can actually start creating some art. I always say, look at Queen. They are intelligent, but they know what music is, they know what lyrics are, so they can create art. A lot of the guys that you actually see shooting, for example, let's look at a sunset, and you have a model in front of it. What do you see most of the times? You see a model lit like a deer in the headlights, and well, you see the sunset in the back. That doesn't look natural for me, and it's very easy to solve. Namely, if you want to make something convincing, you have to make it convincing, meaning you have to place your light under an angle that in our mind looks natural. In other words, if you have a sunset and you have the sun over here, then make sure that your lighting is also around here, and of course not on the same level that you would normally set it, but let's say 1 or 1.5 stop down, because you're actually looking in the dark. These are the very, very simple basics of photography, lighting. Now, I teach workshops, and this is actually where, of course, we earn our living, education workshops, but also instructional videos. And for a long time, I've been waiting for an opportunity to do something like Digital Classroom. And thanks to BenQ and Rogue, we are actually able to do this. But what is Digital Classroom? Many, many years ago, we started out with a fun project. It was very, very simple. We had our studio and we did a photo shoot. And people were going like, okay, what's going on in a photo shoot? What do you do? So we just decided to put a webcam and just put the webcam in the studio. It was hilarious, literally. We started at around 10 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of people overseas were still sleeping, and we actually had people watching, and they actually fell asleep because we had a little chat room, and they told me, oh, sorry, I fell asleep. What happened? The whole day we just let that camera running, and it was a little webcam on a USB cable. And what we did with a terrible internet connection, which we actually still have, we're now streaming via 4Gs, that's why it looks pretty okay, but we had a terrible connection. And we just moved that little webcam all around the studio. So every time we changed something, we just moved that little camera around. And people just loved it. At one point, we stopped for the very simple reason, I thought it was pretty boring. Because, well, seeing a model in makeup and then seeing the photo shoot, it just didn't have that appeal. So for many years, we didn't do anything with the idea. And then at one point, I thought, you know what? Let's give people the opportunity to see behind the scenes what we do during a photo shoot. And that seems to be impossible. So we came up with something else. And this is where Digital Classroom came in. We decided to let you guys watch over my shoulder while doing a photo shoot. But knowing me, I can't just do the photo shoot. What I want to do is I want to teach you guys also what I do. So every time we try to come up with something new. And this time we are combining light sources, meaning we are using tungsten light and strobes. This means for the video quality, this will be bad. At least the first set. For the very simple reason we're using not a lot of lights. And I'm gonna explain everything to you guys, and in between we're gonna turn the lights on and off so you guys can actually see what we're doing. The cameras have night vision. Probably we're gonna switch one of the cameras in night vision if necessary. And otherwise, well, we'll see where it ends up, but at least you will see what I mean, and audio will be okay. So are you ready for it? we have the chat room open. So we have a chat room on Facebook and we have a chat room on YouTube. You can ask whatever you want in between. And I will try to incorporate that into the photo shoot or just answer it to you guys. But we do it slightly different because last time it took a lot of time during the photo shoot. So what we're going to do is we're going to collect those questions. And as soon as I'm done with the photo shoot and I explained what I wanted to explain, we're actually going to answer the questions one by one very quickly. So that's it. And I think we now switch to our setup so you guys can see what we're actually doing. There we go. So now you see an empty set. And empty sets are cool, but empty sets need to be filled up, right? And I wonder, do we have a model today? And look at that. And I don't mean that like that. I mean it like, hello Ingrid, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Yes, you are. Okay. So, for our first setup, what we're going to use is we're just going to use this light source. We're not going to do anything else. We're just going to shoot it with the ambient light that comes from that little beautiful, according to Anna-Week, the most ugly lamp you ever saw. I find it absolutely beautiful, don't you think so?
It's very kitsch.
It's very kitsch. And we don't mean kitsch by kitchen. It is very kitsch. But I love it. And the cool thing is you can buy those accessories for not much. This one was actually gifted to us. Now you wonder, why does somebody give away such a beautiful lamp? Anna-Week knows. So thank you, Lieselot, for the beautiful lamp. So let's see. So what is the thing about ambient light that's cool? It's constant there. You see what you're doing and you can work with that lighting. But there's something else, and that's called the inverse square law. If you shoot something like this and the model is like 2 meters away, you will find out that the light is very, very ugly. It will cast shadows. You will see a lot of stuff in the background. It's not nice. But if you shoot something from really close, there's a quick light fall off. We call that contrast. And contrast is incredibly important because contrast actually makes something look more real, more, how do you call it? Touchable. It's there. So we have to control that contrast. Now, how do we do that? We can, of course, set up a big strobe and just blast everything away and say, this is the light, just put it in Photoshop. That's not the way that I like to roll. I like to press the button and have my image there for 99%. So the first thing I have to do is I have to actually work with this light. And that's not a lot of light. To be honest, it's a little bit less than I expected. But there comes something else in play, and that's the modern day cameras. The cool thing about modern day cameras is that they can go up in ISO like crazy. So you have a lot of options here. So let's turn the camera on. The strobe for the moment I'm just leaving off. And by the way, I have the wrong remote control on my camera. So if somebody can change this for the Skyport, they look alike. There we go. And let's just start out by going to ISO Auto. So, and why ISO Auto? Because I'm not going to shoot manual. I'm going to shoot AV mode. And AV mode means I determine the aperture, meaning the opening of the lens, and my camera will determine everything else, like shutter speed. So let's go to 2.8, because with this kind of lighting, I want to go to 2.8. And the shutter speed. So what shutter speed am I comfortable with? Well, I'm pretty comfortable with a shutter speed of 1/60th of a second. Let's see if this is the correct one. It's for Sony. Yes, that's the one. Okay. Now I'm comfortable up to a 60th. So I'm actually going to tell my camera the lowest you can go is a 60th of a second. Don't go any lower. So now my camera resets to 2.8, a 60th of a second. The other thing, and we always call it a triangle, is the ISO. So the camera will now determine the ISO that it's needed to make a proper exposed image. Okay, sounds pretty easy, right? Now you have the problem. In the camera is a reflective meter. That means that meter reads the light and tries to get it to 18% gray. It sounds great. When you're shooting outside, it works. But in this case, because we're using a lot of contrast, it will actually over and underexpose. So what we're now going to do is we're actually going to override that with something called exposure compensation. And that's on almost all cameras here. Sometimes you have to dive into a menu, but it's called EV, exposure compensation, or EC. Okay, so let's take a first shot and let's see what happens. And I'm already gonna tell you, this will look terrible, and I will tell you why. Okay, can you stand really close to the light? Don't you just love the light?
I do.
Look down a little bit. Very nice. Okay, so here we have the first shot. It comes in, and we have this beautiful light. Yeah, we do have a slight problem here, and there's a lot of ambient light. So this is what I warned you guys about. I have to turn off the lights. So we're gonna turn off our Let Go panels. This is one, and we're gonna turn off the other one. Actually, that one. And let's see what happens now, because now we have way less light. There we go. Beautiful. Look a little bit that way. Nice. Okay, now we have total control over my lighting. You can see the model. It's pretty cool. But now when I look at the image, I go like, I know, there should be more. There should be a little bit more excitement in the image. So I think maybe you can hold the lamp a little bit away from you and just look at it. There we go. Love it. Great. Now, this is one of the things that I do love. There's a little bit more motion in. I hope you guys can see the images coming in. Steffi, are you on the split screen? Awesome. And you can now already see that the light is actually blowing out. You see that in the highlights. Well, that's okay, because it's a light source. But I'm still not convinced, you know. I'm still looking at the image and go like, the background is a little bit too obvious. And I'm going to show you a trick that you can't do at home. Don't even try this at home. We have really cool walls. We can actually move the walls. Because if I move the wall away from my model, there will be less light hitting the wall. So the wall will actually get darker. Now, if you wonder, how the heck did he do that? Is he Superman? No, the walls are actually on wheels. Okay, there we go. Really nice. Love it. Okay. Cool. I'm actually shooting ISO 2500, which is not that bad. But I'm looking at the image and I go like, you know, it can be much better. It can be way better. I'm a little bit too close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out and move a little bit further away and get a little bit more of her incredible styling on. Okay, look down a little bit. That way. Very nice. Cool. Now we can also see more of the beautiful light. That's much better. I think when I move my position a little bit lower, I can actually get it even better. Better? Better. We are imagining words while we go. That's Digital Classroom. You don't only learn about photography, you learn new words, boys and girls. Better. And that's also a way to make a model laugh. Love it. That's much better. That's worse. Very nice. Cool. Make sure you focus on her eyes. There we go. Love it. Great. Now when I look at the images, I go like, well, it gets better. But we need something else. We need a little bit more excitement in the shot. Now you can use light many different ways. You can use it to light your model, but you can also do something else with it. Shoot through the lighting. So here we go. Let's see if I can find the eyes of my model. There we go. Awesome. Awesome. So now I can create something that's a little bit more funky, a little bit different. But you know, the lamp, I want to see a little bit more of it because we really like the lamp. Nice. Okay. And there we go. Okay, looks better. I'm still not really convinced. I'm still going like, you know what? Maybe use the swivel screen. Can you look up? That's nice. What you will now actually see is that the model actually falls away after the light source. So that's not cool too. But we have another option for the swivel screen, and that's actually a lower viewpoint. So let's go down, and we just go like we didn't rehearse anything. So this is all just go, and it could go totally wrong. Sometimes it does, and I'm going to tell you that it was intended that way, of course. Let's just do it like this. Nice. Oh, I like this way better. Cool. So now you get that really weird, funky look. And it's going to take a hell of a lot of Photoshop, so I don't like that shot anymore. Can you move the light a little bit further away? Just push it. There we go. Awesome. And just leave that other hand down. Nice. That's great. Okay, love it. That's nice. Play a little bit with your poses. Nice. And the thing I always do is I always tell my model, nice, cool. I keep talking to her because the better she feels, the better the images will turn out. And in the end, I didn't use any exposure compensation yet, so let's try that. Let's just turn it 2 stops up. And now I actually let the lights burn harder, but also my ISO jumps up, of course. We're now at ISO 10,000. But we can go much higher. Nice. To be honest, I think the light is now blowing out a little bit too much. So let's go down to, let's say, half a stop up. Actually 2/3, because we don't do half stops. Nice. Can you lift down just a little bit through your knees and just look that way? Nice. Chin up. Look straight into one of the lights. Nice. Eyes down just a little bit. That's cool. Okay, do some close-ups. Really like this. Nice. And there we go. Okay, for the first setup, I think we got some interesting images. We're going to retouch them. But first we have to do something that's incredibly important because we're using tungsten lighting. And you see that the lighting is pretty, well, a little bit reddish. So, Annevi, can you give me the color checker, please? So we're going to shoot one shot with the color checker for proper white balance. And if you use Lightroom, you can actually create a profile. But how do you light the color checker? As flat as possible with the light you're using. So like this. Oh, Ingrid, you have to make a funny face, otherwise it won't. Oh, you already know. Awesome, she knows everything. Okay, so let's turn the camera back because I don't want to forget that in a moment. Let's go into Photoshop and see what we can do with these amazing images of this amazing lamp. And I already know you're not convinced yet. Me neither. But we're going to try to make something out of it. Okay, so we're going to switch to Photoshop. And then the girls are going to remodel the studio and turn on the lights again. So we can actually create something cool for the next set. Okay. Let's switch back to me. Annelie, can you move that camera just a little bit that way? Oh, that way. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so you saw me shooting on auto ISO and actually on the Sony. Now, the cool thing about the Sony is that the moment I take the picture actually comes into my viewfinder and I can see the end result. So don't think, why didn't he chimp? Now, chimping is actually looking on the back of my screen because I already see the preview. Okay, let me see if we have some images. Some questions. Okay. Somebody forgot his headphone, so he has no audio. Okay, so now we can make fun of Harry van der Brink because he doesn't have any audio. Hello, Harry. How are you? Okay, yay, my first digital live classroom. Woohoo, Andrea. Hello, Andrea. And let me see, noted that one better. Yes, people are already learning it. What kind of metering in camera are you using? I'm using metering in the camera that is actually a mix between center and the rest of the frame. They call that center weighted. And some people will switch constantly between center metering and other scenes. Sorry guys, I've just lost my train of thought, but you know what I mean, right? I always leave it on the same, and you know why? Because I know how my camera behaves in certain situations. So that means that when I shoot, I actually can counteract for what I know that will go wrong, because incident meter reading is always great because you're metering the light falling on your subject. Reflective metering is always wrong, and it's always in the ballpark. So when you know how your camera performs on a certain way of metering, it's just a great way of teaching yourself, okay, this is how my gear works, now I can change that over. Okay, amazing model, yes he is. How much watt do you put into the light bulbs? These are, I guess, seeing the light output, 25, 50 watts. Normally we have some laying around with 100 watts, and those are way, way better. Okay, so let's switch over to my desktop, so I can actually show you guys what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go to picture in picture. There we go. And I'm now retouching on the Cintiq, and we have the BenQ up on top. Now, why do I do this? And the reason is actually very simple. The Cintiq is great for retouching, but it doesn't have perfect color. The new one, by the way, it's absolutely stunning, but you already saw that probably in behind the closed doors. I'm absolutely in love with the new Mobile Studio Pro. It's an amazing tool. And the BenQ in this case we use as a reference monitor, so that has the correct color. So when I do color grading or color tinting, I will actually retouch like this. And then as soon as I'm done with retouching and I have to do my tinting, I will retouch like this. Like it's an, I didn't want to say old, but for me, it's not old. It's an Intuos, but it's like normal, what you normally do with a Wacom. Not a lot of people have the Cintiqs, of course. Okay, so let's go to my screen totally. There we go. Okay, the first thing I do is I have to make sure that my color is correct. So I'm doing this in Capture One, but in Lightroom it's pretty similar. You do pick white color balance and you actually do this. So now my color balance is correct. Okay, now what I have to do is select all my images and sync this setting. Adjustments, copy and apply. Okay, there we go. Awesome, that works. Now what I have to do is I have to delete the images that I don't like. For example, this image, I'll never use that. This was our test image. I actually like this one, I don't know why, but I do like it. No, this is too simple, too simple. I like this one, love this one. And this one is a little bit too deer in the headlights. Better, no, it's okay, like this one. The laughing image, no, it's okay, no, it's too simple. Didn't work out with this light. Normally when you use a light that has less obvious curves here, it can work pretty well, but with this lighting, oops, ooh, looks interesting. Sometimes you're lucky. With this lighting I don't like, with this light I don't like it. Oh, focus problem. This is better, but I don't like it. It just doesn't work. And again, this is all, we do it on the go. This is what Digital Classroom is. We just try out and do stuff. So if I just rehearse everything, it wouldn't be a live photo shoot, right? Because you guys experience problems in photo shoots too. I want to show you that we do exactly the same thing that you guys do. Because that's where you learn, see how we solve it. Love this one. This one is okay. Oh, this is nice. This is a little bit too hot for my taste, so I'm gonna take these out. And with too hot, I mean too much light on our face. It's okay. This is nice. Okay, got some cool images. So let's start out by selecting some. And I'm working my way back because I know which ones I liked. And this one is actually okay, but I think the eyes are a little bit too dark. Let's see how the focus is. Focus is dead on. So we could use that one, but I only want to select one, and I'm going to tell you why. This one is really nice. Give it 5 stars. And I had another one that I really liked with a curve in her back. think it's actually, I think it's in the previous set. Let's go through. Okay, like this one too. And the one with the curve I have to find. Now, this is the one. Sometimes an image jumps at you and sometimes you can't find it again. And normally that's a sign that the image wasn't good enough. So an image really has to jump out to you guys. Otherwise, just forget about it. Okay, let's do a quick retouch. Now, one of the things that you have to realize, this is a raw developer, meaning I have a lot of options. Now, if I want to get a little bit more detail here, that's no problem at all. I can just do an extra layer. And again, you can do the same thing in Lightroom and don't worry about it. It's exactly the same in Lightroom, only it looks different. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to paint this. This is my layer mask. It's a little bit the same as you do in Photoshop. And I'm just going to pull down the highlights there. So now we have a little bit more detail in that area. Oops, that's too much. That looks fake. And of course, we don't want it to look fake. Now, her face, we actually have to give a little bit more. So let's make another layer and just enhance her face. And I'm using a very soft brush for this. And let's give it a little bit exposure, not too much. There we go. Add always a little bit of contrast and lower your saturation. Otherwise it looks really fake. Now zoom in that I didn't make any mistakes. Nope, that's okay. And the image is fairly sharp. It's not as sharp as the other one, by the way, but it looks pretty okay. Now you have to realize that in Capture One, you have certain options here, and they're actually called recipes. Now, one of my recipes is Frank Photoshop, and it's actually making a TIFF, uncompressed Pro Photo RGB, and it opens Adobe Photoshop. So let's see if that still works. I don't know why it shouldn't work. Okay, so it's now opening up Photoshop. In between, I will try to answer some of your questions. So let's switch back to the camera. Okay, so one of the questions is, I wonder, you said 2.8 60th of a second in AV mode and auto ISO, but how do you set the shutter time in AV? Is that an option you pick in your menu? Yes, you can set on most cameras. If you're shooting auto ISO, you can determine the lowest possible shutter speed. Now imagine you're walking on the street and you know that you don't want to shoot any slower than 1/60th of a second or 1/250th of a second. The camera will actually determine the highest possible ISO, meaning, let's say for example your camera goes to 100,000 ISO. As soon as it hits that 100,000 ISO, that's the only time your shutter speed will get lower, meaning it will drop down to 1/10 of a second or a second or whatever. But every time when it hits that 60th of a second, it will actually go up one stop in ISO or a third stop. Some cameras even go up in smaller increments. Sometimes I see the weirdest ISOs on my camera, and that actually means that it doesn't go up in 1/3 of a stop, but actually in between stops, which is pretty cool. Now, if your camera doesn't have a minimum shutter speed for auto ISO, there is a workaround, but the workaround, it works, but it's terrible. What you do, and that's the same thing I did for a long time because Sony didn't have a minimum shutter speed. What you do is you go to manual mode, you set your shutter speed, you set your aperture, and you set auto ISO. Now in manual mode, the camera will still shoot on that shutter speed and that aperture, but it will determine the proper exposure by changing the ISO. That works very, very well. The only problem is if you have a low shutter speed, let's say 1/250th, and you're shooting on 2.8, the camera can't go any lower than ISO 100. So if there's too much light, the camera will actually start overexposing. So make sure you counteract that in some way. I normally looked at the lighting quality and I will just bump up the shutter speed to, let's say, 1000. And that means that sometimes I'm shooting ISO 800, but at least I won't miss any shots. In essence, it's just very, very wise to have a camera that can actually set a minimum shutter speed. So that's how we do that. Okay, About backgrounds, what mobile backgrounds do you recommend so I can put them in my car? And what backdrops do you like using in your studio? In the studio, we use whatever. We have a lot of painted walls. We have some movable walls like you saw me using before, and we're going to use that in the next set too. For on location, I absolutely love the Lustolite Urbex backgrounds. Those are collapsible and they're really, really cool. Let's change, by the way, to my face. That's easier when I talk to you guys. So the collapsible backgrounds from Lustolite are absolutely awesome. So that works really well. Let me see the other one. Frank, love this episode, fills my questions. Okay, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Okay. Peter is actually asking, thanks for answering the question. I turn my menu up and down, can't seem to find the option, but I know it's there. I'm using Nikon D810 and D800. I'm pretty sure that it will be an option on the Nikon. I'm also pretty sure, knowing Nikon, it will be terrible to find. So use YouTube or your manual. It's a matter of RTFM. I can't pronounce it totally, but you know what I mean. Read the Fine magazine manual. So, and probably it will be there. Don't laugh at me, Peter. That's not nice. So anyway, I can see what happens in the chat room. Okay, let's go back to Photoshop and let's see what we can do with this image. And let's go here. Okay. So we're now in Photoshop. The first thing I always do is zoom in to my model's face to make sure that everything looks nice and dandy. And she has a beautiful skin, so I don't need to change anything. And if somebody has a beautiful skin, don't retouch the skin. We don't want Barbie dolls, we want real models. Okay, so now we have this area. Now in the past, what you did is you actually started cloning this. Don't do that anymore. Take the lasso tool and just select, very rough, the area you want to be filled up, because that's what we're actually going to do. Now press delete and watch this, content aware, color adaptation, normal, and press OK. Now what it will do is it will try to figure out what we want there, and it does it incredibly well, as you can see here. Now a lot of people still ask me, why should I buy Photoshop? This is why you should buy Photoshop. Try to do this in Lightroom. And I love Lightroom, but this is just sheer impossible. The only thing I have to do now is fill this up. So I take my healing brush and I sample and I paint this in. And I'm a big advocate of using tablets. And we just recently teamed up with Wacom, so I'm one of their ambassadors at the moment. That's why you see a lot of the stuff from the Mobile Studio Pro. And trust me, I'm showing that to you guys because I absolutely love the product. I'm not showing you because I'm an ambassador for them. But I was promoting Wacom for years, even before I became an ambassador for them. And this is one of the things that I really want to stress to you guys. If I tell you guys you really need something, trust me, you will love me for it, because working without a tablet is absolutely horrendous when you're used to a tablet. Okay, so we have this image, and well, when I look at the image, it's okay, but I want something more. Now, one of the things that I love to do is analog photography. And that means that I love to tint my images. So let's go to Filter, Alien Skin, Exposure X2. Now, there are many different filters for this. And the ones that I love are actually DxO Film Pack and Alien Skin Exposure. I have to be honest, I'm at the moment testing something from McFun that's called Luminar. And that's freaking awesome. It's a workflow program. It's all the plugins in one. I'm going to show you that in the next set. It will literally blow your mind. And it's one of those plugins where you think the first time you see it and you go like, nah, doesn't work. Not for me. That's for the beginners. And then you have a free day and you start playing with it and you go like, oh, maybe I'll make a video for some of the starting photographers that they learn how the program works. And you just open up your eyes and you go like, what just happened? This is amazing. This is such a cool thing. And Luminar, I'm going to show you that in the next setup, is absolutely one of those filters. But for tinting, at the moment, mostly Alien Skin Exposure or DxO Film Pack. And why tinting? Very simple. When I do analog photography and I scan the images, they come in and I always go like, this is it. This is awesome. And then I see a digital file and I go like, this is flat. This isn't really what I like. So that's why we tint. I didn't know you also play the trumpet. Do you ever had a shooting where the fight between you and the model was really bad? Oh yes, we did have some shoots where I hated the model, but I will never tell you. I will never tell the model. I will just play happy. And that's the most important thing. And yay, Peter found his option in the D810. That's awesome. And for you, Peter, great work. Anyway, can you repeat once how you set up the shutter speed at Sony working in A mode? Very simple. There is an option called minimum shutter speed. And I actually programmed that under the S2 button, so I can really quickly do that. Let me see. Okay, any more questions? Okay, Anouk has a question, yes?
I have a few questions on Facebook Live.
Okay, then we'll give you a microphone so you can ask the questions to me. Look at this, guys. We now even have microphones for Anouk. So now you hear me double. That would be really weird.
Is it on?
I think so.
The question is, you are using the A7R2. Do you have trouble with hunting of your camera in low light? I have it with my A7 II and I can't get it out.
Okay, do I have problems with hunting in low light? No, I always hunt during the day. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, now I crack myself up. So it's really unprofessional. Anyway, so I don't have any problems with hunting, and the main reason is it's something you get used to and you know when it's going wrong, and it's always a contrast matter. So make sure you focus on something that has contrast, like the eyes, for example, the bridge of the nose, and make sure it's in the same focus plane as where you want to focus. If you focus on a wall, you will always have problems. If you focus on something that's low in contrast, you will have problems. As soon as you focus on something that has contrast, even in low light it will work. So fake it a little bit. Try to find something in the same focus plane that has detail, and you're done. The other thing is, if you shoot in low contrast, take a small, how do you call it? Strobe, flashlight, or your iPhone, and just let somebody aim it at your model's face. And as soon as you have focus, they take out the iPhone or the flashlight, and you're done, and you can shoot. Any other questions, Anouk?
Yes, but I think you have to email this person. He has a problem with his Intuos Pro Small. When I used brush tool in Photoshop 17 or open new layer all the time, open up, give me a different order. How do I fix this?
No idea, because I didn't understand the question. I have to read that one. So give me an email, and I'm not Wacom support. Trust me on that one. But what I can do for you guys is I can find out if I can see something that's wrong in your setup. But most of the time, and this is something I want to stress to you guys, I love social media and I love doing this stuff and I love giving to you guys. But you have to realize I'm not Ellingram support, I'm not Sony support, and I'm not Wacom support. You don't want to know how many emails I get like, Frank, I have a discussion with my dealer and he doesn't want to exchange my product. Can you ask Sony for this? No, I can't. Or, Frank, I broke my lens. What is a good repair company? I know in the Netherlands, I don't know in Spain. Yeah, but you're a Sony ambassador. I know I'm a Sony ambassador, I love their products, but I don't have a clue where you can repair this stuff. And please remind these guys, I love answering all your questions, but if you have a question that's supposed to be with your dealer or that's really specific, please try to find the ones that are capable of answering that. And with all due respect, I'm not capable of answering certain questions. If it's about Photoshop, Lightroom, or lighting, I'm always open for questions. But if it's a support question, please contact your dealer. Because I don't want to say no. So I'm trying to figure it out, and that takes a lot of time. Okay, so let's go back to Photoshop, and let's see what we can do with this baby. Okay. So now I'm in Alien Skin, and the cool thing about Alien Skin is it has this hover over option, where I can just hover over the images of the presets. And these are all my presets. You can buy them online. And the cool thing about buying them online is you also support stuff that we do. So if you want to buy the presets, just go to this web address. And all the presets are about, I believe, €7.50 or €10. And it all goes straight into, of course, our work that we do for you guys. So really appreciate if you buy them. And in this one, we have a lot of presets because I've been using this program for many, many years. Ooh, love the black and whites. Really nice. But I want to keep it in color because otherwise my model's going to kill me. Because he had all these colors picked out, especially for today, and then you deliver a black and white image. And then you have a really bad fight between you and your model. Okay, I love this one. Makes it a little bit darker, but somehow I liked it. The thing is, I don't want any grain in it. Now, you have to be clear about something. There are two different kinds of noise. We have grain and we have noise. Now, noise is what's in the camera. Grain is what you add. And grain I like, noise I accept. Okay, let's go up a little bit and just raise a little bit in the shadows. And because we're also streaming my desktop, it's a little bit slower than normal, but it's okay. Let's add a little bit in the highlights. There we go. This is really nice. And I think I can do away with just a little bit less saturation of the reds. And I will show you what it does if I bump it up or turn it all the way down. This is pretty cool. Maybe a little bit more yellow to get this beautiful lamp in. And the greens aren't in the picture. I do see some magentas, so let's turn up magenta. It doesn't work that well. And I see some blues. I really want those blues to shine. There we go. Okay, really like this. You can also, of course, use some tone curves, but in this case, it looks pretty okay. So let's see a before and after. Oops, come on. Before, after. For me, this really makes the difference. I really like this. So press apply. Okay, takes a little bit of time to do its magic, I hope. There we go. Layer, flatten image, and store. That's all. That's all, folks. And save. Oops. Make sure layer, flatten image, and that it also works. And then file, close, and save. Awesome. Let's go back to Capture One, and let's do one more to show you what we do with workflow. Let me see if I like this one. I absolutely love this one. Let's make this one black and white. It gives that really old BBC-like look. I don't know why it rings out to me like that, but I absolutely love this. I do like a little bit more exposure. And protect the highlights. There we go. And go into Photoshop. I don't know why it reminds me of the BBC, but I don't know. Sometimes that happens. And sometimes you wonder why. That's my whole life. There we go. So what I'm now doing is with the healing brush, I'm actually taking away some of the unevenness in her skin. And again, she has tremendous skin, so it's absolutely no reason to use any filters. But like this, we want to clone this out just a little bit. And a trick I can show you guys, this is actually pretty cool, is create a new layer and make sure that that layer is empty. Now, if you look down here, you can actually see that this file is now 223 megabytes. The empty layer doesn't add anything to it. Now, if I create a duplicate layer, you immediately see this jumping up. Well, not immediately. Come on, there we go. You see it jumping up to 447. Now, on my computer, that doesn't matter a lot, but some computers can get really slow when you add a lot of layers, so you don't want to do that. So make an empty layer, and now you take your clone tool, and you lower your opacity to, let's say, around 10%. Oh, don't do 13. Any number but 13. Make the brush a little bit bigger, and make sure that you have your sampling on all layers. Now I will sample here, and I will just very, very kindly massage this a little bit away. There we go. And now you see a before and after. Now the cool thing is, if you look here, you see that this is the only thing that I changed on that layer. Now if you look at my file size, it's actually 223, 231. So if you're working on a laptop or mobile stuff and you don't have a lot of space on your hard drive and it's swapping and you feel that everything is going slow, use empty layers. Now for me it doesn't really matter because my workflow is actually always flatten layers, flatten layers, flatten layers, because I know what I'm doing, and if I do something wrong I can always go back. I can start over, and I don't want all those layers messing up my workflow. Okay, the Dutch tool I'm going to use just to open up the eyes a little bit. Not too much, I don't want them Barbie eyes, I just want to open up just a little bit. Okay, go fit on screen. Much, much better. Now you can see the twinkle in her eyes. And she does have a twinkle in her eyes. So let's go to filter and let's go to alien skin again and let's go to exposure X2. And this one, we want to make black and white. We want to make it real, real nice. I don't know why I do the voices. I forgot my pills or something, I don't know. Just kidding, guys. Absolutely love this one. Let me see, don't like that one, that's a little bit too much. Okay, I think I like this one. Let me see how it looks in color. I don't know. I think the black and whites are pretty nice. Yep, love this. Okay, and we can still change everything around. Now the cool thing is, although you're working in black and white, these are still working, as you can see. And a lot of people don't realize this, but black and white isn't desaturation. Black and white is actually using some sort of, in the old days they used it a channel mixer, and it's not in the old days, it still works. So I can now actually control my light output. You see this? Because tungsten light is a little bit yellow. So this is a pretty cool trick. Love it. There we go. So give it a little bit more red. Oops, there we go. Looks pretty nice. And the greens, is there any green? Nope, there's no green home. Is there any cyan? There we go. Just give it a little bit of twinkle in the cyans. Not in the cyans, of course, but in the cyans, the color. And you see if I turn the blues down, this stone actually becomes black. And when I turn it up, I get that real nice twinkle in the blues. So we got the twinkle in the blues. Same for the magentas. There we go. Okay, maybe the highlights. Let me see if I can control the highlights just a little bit more. Turning it down. No. And if you can't turn it down, make sure you turn it up. Because in black and white, there's no problem with highlights being blown out. Because you can actually tell people it was intended that way. Okay, go to before and after. Really like this. But with black and white, we also like a little bit of grain. Not too much. So don't put it on 100%. Or 200 in this case. Wow. And what I want to do is with grain is actually, I have to look at 100%, otherwise I don't see what I'm doing. So let's go a little bit more rough on the grain. There we go. And let's give it, what should we do? Do regular grain, 100%, okay. And let's turn this down. This is actually where I'm now switching between my Cintiq and the BenQ. To know exactly what I'm doing. And let's do before and after. And let's turn the grain on and off. Yeah, it really makes the shot for me. You can even see that it changes the skin. This is a little trick. And sometimes when you have a model that has too flat of a skin, you can actually use a little bit of grain to open that up. Or actually to give more detail, and then it doesn't glow. Because glowing skin is the worst thing you can have. Oh, I see what my model is wearing and it's absolutely awesome. There we go. Now, if you like this, but you like a little bit of color, you can always bring color back like this. For me, I want to keep it black and white. There we go. But you can always bring this back. And the cool thing is you can even use, of course, blending modes. For example, one of the things that I love to do is soft light. Here you see it. But in this case, no. Overlay, nope. I think nobody really knows what they do. But it's pretty nice. Okay, so layer, flatten image. And we do file, close. So we now did 2 shots in very little time. And this is one of the cool things about Digital Classroom. A lot of people ask me like, how often do you retouch and how long does retouching take? Well, you see, it doesn't take a long time. It's actually pretty fast. Okay, so let's go back to this one and do some more questions before we... Okay, hey Frank, greetings from Dennis from Croatia. Hello, Dennis in Croatia. And let me see. Question is about flash meter. I noticed that my old Minolta is overexposing. Okay, from 1 to 2 stops. Is digital 100 ISO more sensitive than film? If you have that problem with overexposing, what you can do is shoot an 18% gray card. And in your raw converter, check that 18% gray card. Now, if that 18% gray card actually gives you a spike in the middle, 128, 128, 128, your meter is fine. You're doing something else wrong. If it doesn't, you have to calibrate your meter. Now, this is very simple. With the Psychonics, you actually press the 2 ISOs and you can program an offset. If you don't have that option, or you only have 1 ISO button, then it's difficult to press 2, of course. If you don't have that option, look in your manual. Sometimes you do, but you have to use, dip switches. If you don't have that option, you can always remember ISO 100 is ISO 200, or ISO 200 is ISO 100, depending on how much it over or underexposes. But most of the times, it's user error. And I always calibrate the light meter, let's say once every 2 months. It's a really, really fast process. You can even do it with the software from Psychonic, but I do it manually. And if you drop it, recalibrate. And that's no joke, because it's a very fine instrument. Okay, another question. Frank, you have all these props in your studio, like this beautiful lamp. You have models with excellent styling. Lately I've been doing lots of photoshopping, but with normal people, not professional models. So should I get some nice clothes if they don't bring something nice? Smiley. Yes. Make sure in your studio you always have a little bit of a rack with clothing. And you can go to secondhand stores, you can go to your grandma or your grandpa or whoever, Mima, whatever, Big Bang Theory inside joke. You can go to whatever you have with old vintage clothing. Don't buy new stuff at Macy's or whatever. That's more for what you wear now. I always say in photo shoots, you should wear clothing that you would never ever wear on the street. So yes, and go to secondhand stores. You can get a lot of props there. Look at eBay, Marktplaats. And don't pay too much, because you can only use it a few times. You have to realize that. Only use it a few times, because otherwise it gets boring and people go like, oh, there's he again. Okay, let me see. Hi from Ireland. Hello, Ireland. How are you? Let me see. I would love to buy the preset for the MacFun Intensify. The name was Pop or something like that. Yes, we have the MacFun presets also on that same web address. And Alien Skin is exactly exposure. X2 is Alien Skin. So that's correct, guys. Okay, let me see. Not using tonality for black and white conversion. No, at the moment, Alien Skin Exposure X2 is actually for almost all the conversions. It really looks very, very well. Okay, thank you, Frank Trumpet. Yes, I'm not going to do that one again. That's the final one, I promise you. Okay, so I'm going to take a drink and then we're actually going to start the second part. But before that, I want to show you very quickly a commercial for BenQ, of course, because they make this possible. So let's show you the monitor I'm using. And this will probably be the last time you see this video, because I'm under NDA. And that's not wise to say this, of course. But you already know, because on all the trade shows you also already saw the new monitor. The freaking 32 inch is coming this way very, very soon. And we're going to test it for you guys and show you everything. And it was already on trade shows, so I'm not really under NDA, but I couldn't tell that it was already on its way here. But you know what? I didn't, so don't tell anybody. Okay, so this is the monitor I'm using at the moment. And again, remember, we need these commercials to set up the next set. And of course, because these companies make Digital Classroom possible. Hey guys, my name is Frank Doorhof, and I want to tell you today about the new 27-inch monitor from BenQ. Now, I'm a fashion photographer, and I like my colors to be as they are in real life. Because I do my best to light my scene correctly, to style the scene, to have great makeup, great model. And then I see my images on a monitor and they look like, well, very dull. Well, that can happen to you too, and it will probably happen to you. You know the problem? Your monitor is not up to spec. Now, a monitor isn't a monitor. It's not something that just shows you the image. There are many different kinds of monitors. Like TV sets, your very expensive ones will give you better image quality, right? Now, with computer monitors, we always tell people it's all about the color space. For example, you have an sRGB monitor, or for the professionals, an Adobe RGB monitor. But if you don't know what that means, it doesn't make any sense. Now, let me make it simple. These are the colors in real life. So this is what you capture, right? It's great, it's vibrant, it's saturated, it's real life. Now, an sRGB monitor, it's really small color space. And that's okay for the web or for a laptop or just simply browsing your images. But if you want those more vibrant colors, you need something a little bit bigger. And that's an Adobe RGB color space. It's just a bigger color space. But it also means that the monitor has to show those colors. Now, in the past, those monitors were pretty expensive, especially a 27-inch. And BenQ really made me enthusiastic about this monitor because it's very affordable. It's delivered with a hood. So in other words, it will cut down on your glare. And it's, well, I can give you all the bells and whistles about it. Like, it has all the inputs you need. It has all the specs. It's 99% Adobe RGB. But in the end, it all boils down to one thing: image quality. And I'm very picky. And as you can see, it's my main editing monitor at the moment. So I'm very enthusiastic about the monitor. If you are looking for a great monitor and you want something in the 27-inch, and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it, check out the new BenQ 27-inch. And for me, the most important thing is that it has a hardware calibration option, meaning you use their own software and you use a calibrator. And you can really make sure that the reds are as red as they are intended. Now, I know a lot of monitors come with this sheet, like, I'm calibrated in the factory. That's great, but it doesn't make any sense because your computer is different. So you have to recalibrate. Now, when do you recalibrate? I always recalibrate before a very important retouch session. For example, if I have to do a wedding or a fashion shoot, I will just let my monitor warm up for half an hour or an hour, do the calibration, and then I do my retouching. That way, I know for sure that my colors are accurate. So BenQ, job well done. I'm very happy with the monitor. And you guys, if you're in the market for a new monitor, check out the new BenQ series because they're really knocking one out of the ballpark with this series. Hey guys, my name is Frank Doorhof and today I'm very proud to introduce a new Rogue Expo imaging product. Now, if you follow my work, you know that when I work with small flash, I love the Rogue flash benders. They're awesome, they're very easy to transport, they're really flat so they can fit on your case very easily, and you can create strip lights with grids, you can create softboxes, you can even create a snoot, and it's all very easy to do. Now, the only thing is, the original surface of the flash bender is white. Now, there's nothing wrong with white. It gives you beautiful soft image quality, even with a small surface, which you use with small flash. But I love to do a little bit more contrast in my images. So I normally use the silver inlay. Now, the problem with the silver inlay, you have to carry it with you, you have to attach it to the flash bender, which makes bending a little bit more hard. So I just asked them and I said, you know guys, can you create a flash bender that has all the quality of the silver one, but a little bit softer? And it went like, yeah, of course we can do that, because it's a company that actually listens to photographers. And they created this amazing new flash bender. It's a new surface. It's a cross between white and silver, and they call it soft silver. And the cool thing is, because I helped them out with it, they actually gave it my name. So this is the Frank Doorhof Signature Series flash bender. Now, it's the great flash bender too, so that means it's lighter, you can bend it more easily, it's more stiffer in the sides, and it's still very easy to connect to your stroke. The cool thing, however, is this new surface called soft silver actually gives you the qualities of silver, meaning more light output, more contrast, but it also gives you the quality of white, meaning slightly softer light than silver. And it's only one flash bender. So I think this one, it already makes my images pop, and I'm sure it will also make your images pop. So check them out, the new flash bender 2, Frank Doorhof with soft silver, to also make your images pop. And we're back in the studio. Hey guys, how are you? And I'm gonna go to Ingrid now because we are ready for the second setup. So Ingrid, how are you? Do you want to break free?
I do.
I see. So let's turn on the camera. Now the first thing you of course have to do is make sure that your camera is now in manual mode. You turn on the skyport. And of course, you have to take it off auto ISO. So let's go to ISO 100. There we go. Now, how do we set the aperture? I don't know yet, because I have to start metering the lighting. Now, the thing that I want to do is I really love the way that she looks. So what I want is I want my light to fall off on my model. Let's say I want it to be like here, and then I want to let her do something with what you don't expect. Like you expect something like, there we go, we have nice vacuum cleaner and that's it. But we don't want that, of course. We want something more interesting. So I think I'm gonna let you lift up the machine, the vacuum cleaner, and just point it towards me or do something else with it. It has to be a little bit funky. Now, she's very close to the background. If I want my light to fall off nicely, I don't want it to be too close to the background. So what I want to do is I actually want to move the background further away. This is the nice thing about moving backgrounds. I wish my house would have moving backgrounds. That would be awesome. And I'm going to place the light a little bit under an angle, and I have to do it a little bit more up. So there we go. Aim it down, and now on the background the light will fall off very gradually, make a nice little sort of vignetting, and on my model I will have the lighting that I like. Now I'm using a grid, and the grid is very cool because with the grid you can actually steer the light, so you have way more control. But I need to meter the light. So let's grab a light meter and let's meter the light. Okay. Now, with incident meter reading, it's very important that you meter not towards the light source, not towards the camera, but you hold the meter in front of the area you want correctly lit. That actually means that in most cases in the studio, you aim towards your main light source. So there we go. 5.65. Now, what does 5.65 means? It means it's 5.6 and 5/10 of an f-stop. Seeing we have a lot of ambient light, I not want to go to 2.8 because maybe the ambient light will interact with my image. So I'm going to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm on F8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I should be on F11. Now don't worry if you go like, how did he do that? Because I have a remote control inside my light meter. You can call it a hacking seconic. It's a hacked seconic. Don't tell him. And I'm on 8.07. That means 3 clicks more. 1, 2, 3, and I should be on F11. It's of course a radio signal. Sometimes it doesn't translate all the way back. So I should be on F11. Let me see. Remember where you put your light meter. It's always cool. And let's just take a shot. So I'm on F11. Make sure that I put my camera on F11. Okay. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Let's take the first shot. Nice. Now when you look at the shot, you can see that it doesn't really do what I promised you guys. It's incredibly blue. And that's because, remember what we did last time? We shot with tungsten light. The first thing I have to do is make sure that we shoot a color checker. So, can I have the color checker, girls? There we go. So we're going to shoot the color checker. Really nice. This is Steffi, our awesome intern. We actually have 2 awesome interns at the moment. And Anna-Week, of course. And Marcel and me. So what I'm now going to do is very quickly press that white balance button. And then we're good to go. Because it remembers the last setting. Okay, there we go. And that should be okay now. Watch out, you're still on screen. Okay. Are you going to kill yourself?
No.
Don't. You have such a beautiful life in front of you. That's better. But I don't like the light that much. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make sure that I get a little bit more in the background, a little bit more contrast. So I'm going to turn my light slightly away from the background. There we go. And do it like this. Going to take a lower angle. And let's hope that this works. Should I remeter? Normally yes, but I only changed it a little bit. So it will be okay. Okay, image 1. Now this is way better. Now you can see almost a split in her face of lighting and non-lighting. Looks pretty nice. Still think my color is a little bit off, so we're going to shoot one more in the end. But she has to do something with that vacuum cleaner, I think. There she goes. This is really something for her. Love it, love it, love it. Really nice. Great. Now look straight into the light. Yes, there we go. Look a little bit like, ooh. Yes. You love it, girl. There we go. Awesomeness. I know Jaime is watching and he goes like, that's my vacuum cleaner. Nope. Now it's hers. We used this for a Freddie Mercury shot. I'm not going to show the shot, guys. It's PG, R-rated. Actually not PG. It's almost X. If you look on my portfolio, you can actually find it. Really nice. That's it, go. You see that she goes a little bit more overboard now. This is what I love. Great. Is it heavy?
Quite.
Okay, look straight into the light if you want. Love it. Okay, aim it straight at me. Nice. Okay, can you look that way? And as soon as that way. And as soon as I say yes, you turn around very violently and don't hit me. 1, 2, 3, go. And one more. 1, 2, 3, go. Awesome. Can you do that while you're screaming? 1, 2, 3, go. Oops. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, go. And the final one. 1, 2, 3, go. Nice. Was there a problem, Steffi, or? Oh, no. Okay, this looks pretty cool. I love this. I love this shot. So we're going to retouch this one. Can we do one more of the color checker, girls? Because I still don't trust the color quite. That could be my problem. And then we're going to do one more set after this. Aim it straight at the light source. There we go. Okay, so let's get back into Photoshop and see what we can do with this shot. Okay, now we have to run. Oh, she's cute. Annemiek, do you have any questions in our Facebook? Okay. So let's turn to me. Let me see if we have some stuff here. Okay, go to that one. Okay. Congratulations with a product with your own name. That's very cool. Yes, it is. And we're very proud of that. And Rogue actually is a great company. They really listen to photographers, and that's how that product actually came to exist. They asked me if I like the flash benders. I absolutely love the flash benders. And they asked me, what would you like to improve? And I said, I love to use the silver because it gives a little bit more bite to the image. And they always had it like you have to tape it, not tape, but use Velcro to put it on. And I said, it would be cool if we just have one that is silver, soft silver. And they actually created one. So that's incredibly nice. Okay, a hexaconic. Yes, that would be the better name instead of a hexaconic. What light stand do you use? It looks very stable. It is. It's the Elengrom Poly stand. Very, very cool. Very Harley Quinn, Frank. Well, for the next digital classroom, we're actually going to do a real Harley Quinn. Oh, did I say that? Then I have to do it. And we already have the costume, so that's going to be freaking awesome. Okay, girls, you can leave the background with the flowers, the silvery one. So we're going to use that for the next setup. So in between, I'm also helping out the girls. Okay, let's go to Photoshop. Let's see what we can do. And let's switch this over. There we go. Okay, let's see first what went wrong with the color balance. There we go. This is much better. Okay, so select all the images. And there we go. Hold Shift key to select everything, and then adjustments, copy and apply. Okay, pretty cool. Go through the images and see which one we want to retouch. I think we're going to retouch this one too, just for fun. Don't tell her. In the start, the first images you can most of the time just throw away. I don't ever going to use this one because her eye is too dark. The other ones I do like, so I'm not going to I'm not going to delete those. I love this one. This is really nice. But I think the other ones are more intense. Like, look at this one. Wow. Let's go here and see if the eyes are sharp. Yes, this is one of the things that I love about Capture One. It's really rendering fast. And you can even go here, view, and then you go like show focus mask. Everything that's green is in focus. And this is something that I really miss in Lightroom because this speeds up your workflow immensely. So let's give this one 5 stars. Okay, this one. Oh, this is even more intense, but no, I think the eyes are, let's give it 5 stars and compare the two. Okay, so now I give everything 5 stars. Let's see which one I like most. This one, you know, this one is more intense. But I do miss a little bit of twinkle in her eyes. Do you know what? We're going to fake it in Photoshop. Don't tell anybody I did this. Yeah, that's very cool during a live broadcast, but okay. Let's just open up it a little bit. Give a little bit of shadow detail. There we go. Just to bring out the eyes a little bit more. Okay, let's go into Photoshop with this shot. There we go. Now the first thing, of course, is zoom in and let's see if there are any skin problems. And again, she has beautiful skin, so I'm not going to use any filters on her. It's just a shame. And sometimes people will use filters because you have to. No, you don't. If somebody has great skin, don't destroy it with a filter because it will never look better. If somebody has bad skin, then use a filter. This is something you have to be careful for. And again, we can do the same trick. Use the lasso tool. Let's see how good Photoshop is. And use Content Aware Fill. There we go. Pretty good. Now you see that there's a little bit of line missing here. So that's something I have to fix. So I'm going to use my clone tool. And let's go here. There we go. Take a little bit of here. A little bit of here. Maybe do this. There we go. That's better. You can always crop it out if you don't like it. This is, for me, it's a little bit rough, but it's okay. I don't think you will notice. No, it's okay. And otherwise, just crop it out. Okay. Let me see what is going on here. Let's go to 100%. Let me see what it is. Okay, that's part of the vacuum cleaner, actually, so that's okay. Okay, I promised you to show you luminance, Luminar, and this is actually a great shot for it. So go to Filter, Mac Fun, Luminar. And again, I absolutely adore this filter. It's really, really awesome. It will actually replace almost all other filters. Okay, remind me later. I don't want to do this now. Okay, let's open this up very quickly. Okay, the first thing you have to realize about Luminar, it's not a filter like you're used to in filters. Now, normally you have a filter that has a certain workflow. With Luminar, everything is open. So we have default workspaces, for example, for black and white, for landscape. We have one for portrait. We have one for street. And this is not all. I'm actually already building. We don't sell them yet, but we are going to sell them in soon. We actually have a creative toning presets. Now this will give me all the options I need for creative toning. And there are a load in there, as you can see. Now my presets are always a little bit complex, so I need a lot of stuff. And here we go for the black and white. So you can actually build these workflows. Now the cool thing about building the workflows is that you're actually building filters. You're actually building a filter. Like if I want tonality from Mac Fun, I'm actually creating detail enhancements and I'm creating all the stuff that I normally have in tonality, like advanced contrast for your midtones, for your shadows. And you can of course reset this. But you also have clarity. And of course you have structure and microstructure and detail enhancer. So this is actually what you're used to from your tonality. From Intensify. Sorry, not tonality. Tonality is the black and white converter. But there's more. Next to the workspaces you can also create presets. For example, the clarity booster, or an image enhancer, or mild image enhancer, vivid. And you can go through all of them. And they all have different workflows attached to them. So it sounds very complicated, and it is. I'm not going to tell you it's simple. But as soon as you more dive into this, you can set it up for a consumer. So very, very simple. But you can also set it up for the more advanced photographer. And that's what I really like. So here we have my user presets. And again, we're still working on those. So these are not done yet. There will be a lot more before we release something. Because I'm not somebody who will release something that's maybe giving you 1 or 2 options. I want to literally give you a lot of options. Okay, so let's go to detail pop. I think I'm really liking this one on this shot. Now look at this. Before and after. That's really, and now you can actually see that she's screaming. No, it's her necklace. That will be a really weird lip. Okay, really love this. Really love that pop. Okay, so let's say apply. And in between we have some questions. I have a question about color profiles. I'm using Photoshop and I have issues with only pics on some sites. Now I can change profile. What's the best program to use for sites? Okay, let me switch back very quickly. Okay, this answer is really, really easy to answer. And it also frustrates the heck out of me. Online, a lot of browsers are not color corrected. That means they use sRGB most of the time. Now, sRGB is a small color space. Adobe RGB is a big color space. ProPhoto RGB is a huge color space. Now, ProPhoto RGB online will probably never work because you need 16 bits, and that's TIFF. And as long as we don't have fast internet, and I mean really fast internet, we can't upload TIFF 16 bits to the internet and still have a normal viewing experience. The thing is that if you don't know if a user is color corrected, and believe me, if you put images online, you better believe it that somewhere in the world somebody will look at your images without color correction. So what I do is all the images we put online are sRGB. Sometimes it hurts because Adobe RGB gives nicer reds for me, and I love reds and I love more popping colors. But you know, you have to work with what the internet gives you. And so online we use sRGB. Now normally if you do something in sRGB, every single browser will show it properly, expect it to be okay. Now why do I say it like this? Because there is no real standard. Some browsers will show it perfectly, some browsers will give it a little bit of a tint, some browsers will do this. Like for example our site, we always use black and white and red headers. If I use Safari on the Mac, it looks great. Some people complain that it's hard to read because black and white is hard to read. In my personal opinion, I absolutely loved how it looked. However, now that I'm testing the Wacom Mobile Studio Pro, I'm more working in Windows. And on Windows you have Edge. And I use Chrome or Firefox. And now you actually see that some of those browsers really messed up my site. The reds are bleeding off the page. It looks like they're half resolution. And then when you open up another browser, it looks fine. So we actually decided, you know what, we're gonna raise the background just a little bit to medium gray, and we're gonna put blue headers in. And now it looks nice on all different viewers. I don't like the new look, but it's the best I can do to make it compatible on all viewers. But when somebody complained about it and I looked on my Mac, on all viewers it looked great. So I didn't find any reason to change this. So beware, always have a PC somewhere to check this kind of stuff. Okay, another question, let me see, about online. What site do you use for your homepage? My homepage we host ourselves and we use WordPress. Our portfolio is hosted at our friends from SmugMug, and that's an awesome company. And I use awesome way too much, but for them, it's awesome. And why? You have unlimited storage in the Pro package, and that means unlimited. So you can pump all your images there all day, all night long. They will never tell you stop. Well, maybe they do, but I never hit that limit. But then again, I have very slow internet, and they tell me it's unlimited. And they can do customizations for you. You can also run your blog from SmugMug. I didn't, because I like WordPress. But SmugMug can do anything you want. Okay, so let's get back to retouching. So, okay, that's weird. There we go. Okay, that's better. Okay, so I don't want the effect in her face. So what I'm actually gonna do is, and I did something wrong I see now, is, oh, let's go back to Photoshop, edit, undo luminar. I actually have to create a background layer. I forgot this, filter, oops, luminar. Now with some filters it will run the last setup that you used, and with some filters it will just open up the filter and you have to do it again. Now in the case of Luminar, because it's a very complicated plugin, it will open up and I have to choose it again. So, but I know what I did for once. So let's go to a user. There we go, and I actually had pop detail. And now we say apply. And it's always wise to do this on separate layers. By the way, you can see that there's a lot of options here in Luminar. You can do gradients, you can do masking, you can paint effects in. It's amazing, really. And if you want Luminar, by the way, just follow the link on our website. I'm going to give you the website really fast. On frankdoorhof.com, and there's a special banner in there where you can actually see Luminar. Just press on that and you also support the work we do for you guys. So we really appreciate that. Okay, so we don't want it on the skin. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a layer mask, and we're going to do a reveal all because I like it on the rest of the shot. Now we have a white piece of paper over here, so I'm going to take my brush, change it to black, and I'm just going to paint the effect out of her face. And I don't like it on the necklace. It looks like she has a really weird lip under there for her mouth. Okay, on everything else I like it. So layer, flatten image, and we're done. Okay, so the only thing I now have to do is tint the image. Alien skin exposure X2 for tinting. As you can see, it works pretty fast. You don't need to spend hours and hours in Photoshop. It's a you know, if you like to spend hours in Photoshop, be my guest. But for me, I have a lot of other hobbies that I like to do and I don't have a lot of time for them. So when I can get away with less time in Photoshop, I'm very happy with it. So I always try to cut down on my workflow by just exposing the images right and making sure that when I'm in Photoshop, I can really work via a certain workflow, as you can see me doing today. So this is not the real important thing. And again, Digital Classroom is not about teaching a workshop. It's more about showing you guys what we do during a photo shoot. And I love this look. Really nice. Okay, now the blues I want to enhance just a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my, let me see if I have that option here. Yeah, color saturation, blues. And just make that more intense. I hope you can see that online. Let me do it totally over the top. There we go. And down. I'm going to keep it there. I want to enhance the reds just a little bit. And that goes too much on the skin. So let's turn this down and show you another trick for that. And just press apply. This is a very subtle filter, but I really like it. But I want the reds of her hair to stand out just a little bit more. And there's a tool for that. Okay, layer, flatten image. And let's create a duplicate layer for this so I can show you the effect. Under your dodge and burn tool, there's actually a sponge tool. Put it on saturate. And now you can really make colors pop. There we go. And now you see before and after. That really makes a huge difference. There we go. Really like this. Okay, layer, flatten image. Okay, now the only thing I want, sparkle in her eyes. So let's go to 100%. Now, if you wonder how the heck does he go to 100% that fast, I'm going to show you very quickly. So I'm going to switch back my camera to me. Now on the Cintiq you have a remote control. This is called the AK remote from European. Live on YouTube again. Okay, live and healthy. Okay, let me see. We did have a little bit of a hiccup with the stream. Let me see if we're back on again. I think we are. Okay, sorry for that guy. I don't know, guys, I don't know what's going on. Frank is back. Of course we're back. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys the AK remote and then everything stopped here. So we're still working on fiber. Let's hope that fiber works. If there's a sponsor at the moment watching this program and goes like, well, we really like this Frank, and we want to support you with fiber, please do, because it's really unaffordable over here. We're talking about, I believe, 400 euros a month, and that's a ridiculous price. So if we have sponsors out there, come on, I want fiber. So we're now doing it via 4Gs, and sometimes that connection really craps out. I'm sorry for that. Okay, let's go back here to the cat's eyes. Okay, so go to 100%. Oh, we're already on 100%, and I want that cat slide to be a little bit more obvious there. So I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to do white. Now, of course, you can do it like this, but that's a little bit too obvious. So we don't want it to like this. So let's make the brush really small. And now I used a strip light, a smaller light source. So we don't want that to be like this. This is a little bit too much. So I want to change my brush actually to 50% hardness. I'm just going to put it in here. And what I'm going to do, and this is something I did wrong, so let's do undo and create first this, flatten image. Now undo this, there we go, now we stay online, okay? And just put it in there. And now use your eraser and just cut off half. There we go. Now lower the opacity just a little bit. There we go. Now what you can do is you can go to 200%, of course, and try to draw all these lines in with a very, very small line. But that doesn't really look nice and it doesn't add anything. But you could do it, but I would advise against it. So if you do, let me do it just to show you guys. So go to black and just do it a little bit like this. So it looks more natural, but it's so small, it will never ever catch anybody's eyes, even on 100% if you zoom in. It's a lot of work extra, and it just, no, it's not worth the effort. Okay, really love this shot, really nice. We do a layer flatten image, and we're gonna do one more set for you guys. Let me try one more thing, by the way. Let me give it a little bit. Oops, come on, I want curves. I don't want this, I'm pressing the wrong button. There we go, just a little bit. Okay, and file close. Now I wonder if we also lost the connection, by the way, to Facebook, or if it was just a YouTube thing. So this is something that's really interesting for us to find out, because we're still in doubt what is the right way to work, Facebook or YouTube. And I think YouTube and Facebook both together work pretty well. But I'm very curious to see if we also lost connection on YouTube. Sorry, on Facebook. I know for sure on YouTube, because that's what I see in front of me. Okay, let me see. Annemiek, do you have any questions? No. No questions? Oh my. Let me see. So we have some questions over here. Could you tell me more about that thing? We lost you there. Okay, Reina, what kind of thing? Because we have a lot of things here. I think you mean the remote. The remote is actually the AK remote from Wacom. And this one has a lot of buttons which you can program. And a lot of people use their Wacom with the pre-programmed buttons. Don't do that. Program them, because they are a real time saver. So, okay, we're gonna go to the final setup for today. And before we do that, I do need some time, so I'm gonna show you very quickly. You saw me working with Capture One. I'm very quickly gonna show you a video we did on Capture One. Great shot. Hey guys, I'm Frank Doorhof. I'm the writer of the best-selling book, Mastering the Model Shoot. Now, during my workshops, I get a lot of questions about people. What about raw developing? How to set my camera? Do I need Adobe RGB? Do I need sRGB? There are many questions out there. And the best thing to start with is use Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop. That's where you start. But after that, if you want a little bit more quality, if you shoot a lot of tethered setups, Capture One is actually one of the best programs out there. It isn't the best in library modes. It isn't the best in map modes. That's where we still use Lightroom. But Capture One is an awesome RAW developer. Now, what is a RAW developer and why is it important? Think about the old days when we had film. The choice of chemicals and the choice of film made a huge difference. The same film developed in different chemicals gave you totally different end result. The model was still the model, the landscape was still the same landscape, but you get more definition from one chemical. Or you get a little bit more detail or a little bit different colors. Also depending on the process. And that actually is the same thing for the new digital sensors. A digital sensor records a raw image. There's no color space attached to a raw image. It's the raw image. You have to attach a color space yourself. This is also one of the most heard problems during, for example, social media stuff. How do I set my camera? If you shoot JPEG, choose sRGB or Adobe RGB. If you shoot RAW, it doesn't matter because the RAW file is the RAW file. There's no color profile attached. That's what you do in your RAW converter as soon as you go to JPEG or TIFF. And most workflows, of course, will be TIFF 16 bits because then you have a lot of stuff to work with and then you can use the bigger color spaces. But hey, I'm getting way ahead of this stuff. I don't want to teach you too much because this is a promo for a new video I created. Now, next to Lightroom, one of the most famous and best known RAW developers is, of course, Capture One. And Capture One has had a turbulent experience for me. It started when I shot medium format, I needed Capture One. And now when I shoot Sony and even when I shot Canon, I quickly found out that the raw developing of Capture One was awesome. But a lot of people have a lot of questions about how does it work. With Lightroom I know how everything works, but how does it work in Capture One? And that's why we created this video for you guys. It's a total walkthrough about how I set up Capture One to work with Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop because those are still my main programs. Capture One is used for raw developing and it does such an amazing job at that. So check out the video on Capture One raw developing workflow from me, Frank Doorhof. And I'm sure if you have any questions about Capture One, they will be answered in that video. And we're back in the studio. Well, we never left actually. Hello. So, for the next setup, we're going to use constant lighting again. And we're going to use a light source that I absolutely love, a Fresnel. Remember, the S is silent. Now, a Fresnel is actually not really a light source. It's more a lens that's in front of the light source. I can show you that very quickly by turning around the light source. And I'm going to aim it straight at Anouk so you can actually see it. So this is a Fresnel and this is the magic. The nice thing about that lens is that it actually makes a beautiful, beautiful quality of light on your model. You probably know these from the old movies like Gone with the Wind and everything else from that period. And even now they still use Fresnels. If you go to any film set, you see these huge Fresnels. And why? Because you can pinpoint the light very easily and they just give a beautiful light quality. Now, what is the cool thing about a Fresnel? A Fresnel you can zoom. So you can actually move your light source further and closer, actually the other way around, further and closer to the lens. And it changes the quality of light, but it also changes the spot. This is also why they sometimes are referred as theater spots, because you can really pinpoint it on the person on stage. So we're going to turn off the lighting in the studio again. And we're going to show you what you can do with a Fresnel. And the model's going to hate this because it's a really, really bright light source. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is I want to open up the flaps and give you the total view. So now you see that the whole area is lit. What I can now do is I can actually make my light more into a spot. Really, really nice. So there we go, aim it just a little bit up. And there we go. Now the Fresnels I'm using are actually from Letgo, and Letgo also supplied all the other lighting for Digital Classroom. So a big thank you to Letgo. Absolutely awesome quality of gear. And I don't say it because they're friends. Okay, so I have my camera set up again on auto ISO, and I'm shooting on f5. So I want a narrow depth of field. I know I have more than enough light output, and I'm using 1/60th of a second again. And Ingrid, you can look down just a little bit. And she won't hate me for that, because if she looks down, she doesn't look straight into the light. Now, as you can see, the image gives you that really pinpointed look. The cool thing about it is that if I zoom out just a little bit more, you can see that it's overexposing. So we don't want that. So we have to counteract that by exposure compensation. Okay, do the same thing with that finger again. Really nice. Love it. Awesome. Now, let's say you want to see what's going on. Now, a lot of people with Sony cameras don't know about this setting. But if you go into the menu, there's a live view display setting. And I'm going to show you that on camera. I don't know if we can zoom in on this. But there's a setting here. It's called live view display. And the setting at this moment is setting effect off. And this means it acts like an OVF, an optical viewfinder. So it will it will continuously change my light output like it would do with a normal OVF, so I don't see what I'm doing. Now, if I change this to setting effect on, it actually acts as an EVF. So now it will actually show me exactly what I get. So what you see is what you get. Now, if you're shooting with strobes normally in the studio, you have to turn that setting to off. Otherwise, on f16, everything will be dark in the studio, because that's actually what you see is what you get. If you're shooting with constant lighting, turn it on. If you're walking outside, turn it on. Because now if I change my exposure compensation, I can actually see in the viewfinder what I'm doing. And it works way easier. Nice. Love it. Great. Chin down just a little bit. Nice. The cool thing about the Fresnel, remember, I can zoom. Let's say I want a little bit more of the modeling. Nice. I'm gonna change my exposure compensation again. Cool. Can you make some yes, that's what I mean. Some really, really extensive poses. There we go. Okay. Let's zoom in just a little bit more again. Let's make it square. So let's use this flap and this one and this one, and also close this one. That's the cool thing. Normally flaps are used for lens flare, but in this case I can actually also use them to control my lighting. Okay, can you move a little bit that way? There we go. I want to have her in the hot spot. Love it. Nice. Okay, give it all. There we go. Love it, Ingrid. Great. What a power. Awesome. There we go. As you can see, I have to constantly adjust because the camera tries to do 18% gray. I have one finger on my EV, exposure compensation, and with the other one I shoot, of course. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, give a scream. 1, 2, 3, go. And 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, that's nice. Like a punk rock. Put your middle finger up. 1, 2, 3, go. There we go. Awesome. Okay, that's nice. Really relaxed. Nice. Okay, so that's one point of setting up. Let's try it from a different angle. So we're going to pick this one up. Make sure I don't drop it. And we're going to actually use it under an angle to create some contrast. Really nice. It's on full power because we really need that light. Oh, and if you didn't see the pre-recorded version, I'm going to tell you in a moment why I use that hand strap. Look down. Cool. Chin up. Nice. Okay. Keep it that way. Okay. And of course, I can change my own position and shoot against the light. Nice. Or maybe even include the light source. Nice. Okay, so let's see what we can do with these images in Photoshop. So I'm gonna walk to my computer because we don't have much time left. But we're still gonna do it, of course. Okay, let me change to my own camera very quickly. Okay. And there we go. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. You make being sick in bed bearable. Oh, Brent, we hope you feel well very, very soon. And I don't even want to think about being in bed with you, because then I also get sick. From what you have, of course, not, oh my. I don't, just forget about what I said, right? I didn't mean it that way. But I mean, if you're in bed with somebody that's sick, you also get sick. So don't be angry at me, please. Okay, so get well, Brent, very soon. Yes, I totally agree. Let me see, is Mastering the Model Shoot also available in Germany? Nein. Ich weiß nicht warum. No, it is, actually it's distributed by Pearson, and every country does their own translation. So Mastering the Model Shoot is available in English, it's available in Chinese, traditional Chinese, and Czech. I don't know, we just sometimes hear that it's also available in another country. So who knows? Who's doing the styling today? It's actually Ingrid herself. Sie sprechen Deutsch. Jawohl, ein bisschen, aber nicht so gut. Aber das kommt noch wel. Okay, so Oscar really likes the book, so thank you so very much, Oscar. I like the book too, and I wrote it. So if I write something and I like it, it's probably a good book. So anyway, thank you so very much for that. Okay. Let me see. Shame on you, it's not in Dutch. Yeah, I know. That's really weird. Because I am Dutch, so you would expect the book to be released in Dutch. But you know, I'm not in control of that. Okay, so let's go to Photoshop and let's see what we can do with these images. Okay, so absolutely love this one. And somehow this one reminds me of Freddie Mercury. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Let's go through the images very quickly, and let's see which one I like. Ooh, love that one. Love this one. I'm never gonna end up with one image, I'm afraid. Oh yeah, this is it. Absolutely amazing. Ingrid did awesome. These are a little bit too simple. This one is out of focus. This one is also awesome. And one of the cool things about the Sony cameras is that we can actually recover a lot of the lost highlights. I did see that I forgot to shoot my color checker, but it looks pretty okay. So normally always shoot those color checkers, guys. They're really important. And if you forget, just a little bit of a tip, if you forget, just make one color balance, that's okay, and copy that to all the other images. And I will tell you why. If all the images look exactly the same, it's okay. If one of the images look like this and the next image looks like this, that's when you get into trouble. So you want continuity in your series. And if they all look the same, then it's a style. Nice. This one was way over. Okay, so I selected some images, so let's go to my selection, and we have this one, and these two. Okay, let's start with this one. The first thing I always do is check focus, especially when I'm shooting handheld on a lower shutter speed, but this is okay. And do we need anything else? Maybe open up the shadows a little bit. Now, when I'm using strobes, I don't allow myself to use this slider for the very simple reason, then I should have lit it differently. When I'm using continuous lighting, well, I can cheat. There we go. And this one I also like, so let's Let me see, I think this one is out of focus. Yep, so let's delete that one. And that's why we also picked another one. There we go, this one is okay. Let's turn back the highlights. Really nice. Let's see if there's any shadow detail. Ooh, this is even better. Love it. This is the cool thing about those Sony cameras. There's so much dynamic range that you can recover. And the noise is also pretty okay. Now this one will be black and white, and I will tell you why. It is a little bit out of focus, but I just love the look of the shot. And in all honesty, and I will turn the camera on for this, because then you know when you look into my eyes that I don't lie. In all honesty, when you have a picture that's just kick-ass, that's awesome, but it's a little bit out of focus, I would rather have that image online, black and white or retouched or whatever, as long as it's good. Now, a lot of people will use Instagram filters or something else to make something look better that's actually worse. And we always tell you can't polish a turd, it will stay a turd, right? Garbage in is garbage out, even if you make it nice, you can't shine it. If you have a really great shot that tells a story that's just plain awesome, and you zoom in and you see it's totally out of focus, well, it's not rescuable. But if it's like this, it's on the edge of being in focus, then make it black and white, add a lot of grain, add a lot of contrast. It's the inside joke, I know I've told it many times. But if the image is right, then that technique will work. If you have an image that's not nice, don't try to fix it with filters, just throw it away. Or keep it for yourself, but don't use it online. Okay, so let's go back to my screen. Okay. And let's start actually with the first image. Okay. So I pressed open in Photoshop, so it should now open. Did I really press it? No. Now I pressed it, because you can see the gear. Okay, there we go. Go to 100% again, check the skin. There are some small details I want to take out, so I'm gonna do that very quickly now. There we go. Everything else is pretty much okay. Again, she doesn't need any filters, so don't use filters for guys checking in later. A lot of people will do a lot of skin work on models, even if they don't need it, don't. It's like plastic surgery. If you don't need it, don't do it. We recently saw Bridget Jones's Baby, and that's a prime example of somebody who didn't need it. And in all honesty, I didn't like the outcome. Okay. This is nice. Now let's start up Luminar and let's see what we can do with this image in Luminar and also give it some tinting. So let's go into Mac Fun Software, Luminar. And if it's not in there, we're going to create it to show you guys what you can do. Okay, it's opening, I hope. And now something goes wrong, I think. Although I don't know what, but I'm still in Photoshop. Okay, let's try that again. Hello Luminar, wake up. This is the first time that ever happened. Oh, that's cool. Okay, just forget about it for now. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to show you my key, of course, online. So, okay, sorry for Luminar. Then let's try something else. Okay, we already have that second layer up. Let's go to Intensify to make it pop. You saw Luminar working in the previous one, so I don't know why it rejected my key. Maybe I can only use it 4 times. That would be interesting. Okay, let's go to Poppy Drama. There we go. Really love what this filter does. You can really see the enhancements. Really brings out detail. So press apply. And of course we don't want this on the skin, so we're going to mask the skin out again. So it's now processing. Okay, this takes a little bit of time because we're also streaming the desktop, and these are pretty high resolution files, and it is a very, very intense filter. Annemiek, do you have any questions on Facebook in between? No. Okay, that's nice. Layer mask, reveal all. And now the only thing I have to do is take a brush and make the brush black and just paint the effect out on the areas where I don't want it. As you can see, I do that pretty rough, and because I'm using a soft brush, I can get away with this. If you want to do it really nice, you can always zoom into 100% and do it nice, but for Digital Classroom, I think this is okay. Okay, go to the bottom layer, and what I'm now going to do is I'm going to actually pump up the brightness just a little bit on her face. I don't know why I keep hitting the wrong button. There we go. Really like this. And now the only thing I have to do, and you already know this, is just do the tinting of the shot. Alien Skin Exposure X2. Okay, let me see which look I like. I actually love this one. Just gives it a little bit more bite. There we go. I'm losing a little bit of detail here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of highlights, protection. Oops. Turn that back just a little bit. There we go. It's very, very subtle, but it just gives me that extra bite, that extra punch in the image that I really like. And for the final shot, we're going to actually do that really fast. So flatten image, file, close, and save. Okay. And to show you guys that you don't even have to leave your RAW converter, is actually this one. We're going to do straight into Capture One. We're going to go into Looks, User Styles, my own styles. Let's see, black and white, old-fashioned film. That's a little bit too much. Let's go to black and white, awesome. That's okay. Ooh. Actually love this one. It is color, but let's see if we like a black and white more. No, we're gonna do color. Okay, and again, because it's a RAW converter, I can still do anything I like. So bump down the contrast just a little bit, add a little bit of brightness to the shot. Is it acceptable? Yeah, it is. Why not? Maybe give it a little bit more highlight protection or not. Shadow detail up. There we go. Really love the look. And give it a little bit more contrast on the bottom. Now what you see is actually, this is one of the cool things about Capture One, is you see levels here, and I can actually change the red in the shot, as you can see here. And I can also do that for green. And it's a really nice, balanced way of working, which I never saw before, to be honest, but I could be wrong. And you can really fine tune your image. And you can store this again as a preset. Okay. Pretty cool. Okay. So let me switch back to my camera for the final thoughts. There we go. Okay, so what I wanted to show you today is that we actually can do in 2 hours, we can do 3 totally different looks. You can do the retouching as long as you know what lighting does. And that's one of the most important things. Learn your lighting. If guys or girls email me about, okay, Frank, how can I become a professional photographer? That's a different question. That's business. But if you want to succeed in business, you have to have a network. And that's way more important than knowing technique. You can have the best technique in the world, but if nobody likes you or nobody knows you, you won't work. If you have the best network in the world, you actually can get away with okay technique, okay Photoshop, and people will hire you anyway because they like you. If you have both, that will be awesome. So, in essence, first make sure you learn your lighting, but most of all, do it with passion. Do it with everything you got into you. It's not a 9-to-5 job. It's 24/7, 365 days a year. And sometimes when you're tired and you don't want to do a shoot, make sure that you do that shoot and do it with full enthusiasm. Okay, one more thing. We have some really cool workshops coming up. And one of the things that I love is this, Ultimate Weekend. Now, if you go to my website, you can actually see all the dates on the left side menu. So we have one for Germany, we have one for the UK, we have one for New York, and we actually have one in the Netherlands. Now the early birds are running out. We only do them for 1 more week and they save you a lot of money. So make sure that you subscribe or reserve your seat before the end of next week, because otherwise the early birds are gone. The other thing, and we don't even have a trailer for this yet, is our brand new instructional video, Beyond Snaps New York. Without a doubt, it's the best instructional video we ever made. It's about street and travel photography, but it's also about the places in New York I love to visit, because a lot of guys, when they go to New York, they will actually go to the Empire State Building, Central Park, and all the other stuff. We show you stuff that you normally don't go to, but give you great shots. Okay, Anouk, you had something else.
Yes, nice present.
The book. If you go, and I don't know what Anouk wants to do, Merry Christmas and my book. Oh, I have to I have to wish you all a Merry Christmas, according to Anouk. Now it makes sense. She gives me a book, she says, nice present, Merry Christmas. And I go like, yeah, that's nice. I wrote the book, I know the book, and now I get my own book for the Christmas. That's nice. But no. Okay, so the book, Mastering the Model Shoot, if you are somewhere in the world and you have Amazon, you can buy it online. If you don't have Amazon, you can also go to our website and we'll send it to you, signed and all. So I really think this is a great book about model photography. Make sure you check out our website on videos for the new instructional video about New York. And we have a lot more videos there. And we really keep those prices low for you guys so everybody can afford them. And I think they're jam-packed with information. So if you like Digital Classroom, those videos go way more in depth. So that's really cool. The other thing I want to do is Patreon. And bear with me. Now, we give you all this stuff for free and we'll keep doing it for free. But if you want to support us, and that can be with $1 a month or whatever package, go to Patreon, to this website under here, and it's like a tip bar. You can do whatever you want in donations, and once a month you get a picture or you can get a portfolio review, all for free, and you are on a closed off Facebook group where we can actually discuss images or where you can ask questions. So Patreon, really cool, and that makes Digital Classroom and all the other stuff we do for free possible. And do we have anything else, like when is the next Digital Classroom? January 11th, we have a next Digital Classroom. In between, we will start doing the smaller Digital Classrooms as promised, and we need questions for those. So, do you have any questions you want me to answer? Make sure you send them to me on social media. And furthermore, I would like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a great 2017, and I hope that you will join us way more online. Oh, Anouk, you do have a question coming in?
Somebody's asking, what do you recommend for photo storage?
Okay, what do I recommend for photo storage? Online SmugMug. And in the studio itself, we actually use one tower that's connected via eSATA. So it's a really fast tower with several hard drives via port multiplying. And it sounds technical, but it's really easy to set up. And we use a Synology NAS as a backup. And this is incredibly important. Synology makes great NASes, and trust me, you need three backups of your files. One backup is the original file. That's where you work with. The second backup we have on our NAS system. That's the backup. If something goes wrong, we can go back. The third backup has to be offsite, meaning online or in a bank or wherever. And you can update those, let's say once a week or once every 2 weeks or after every important gig. The reason is very simple. If the studio gets burned down, I don't hope so, but let's say it happens, I will lose my Synology NAS, I will lose my original files. I can have 10 backups stored in the studio. If it burns down, it's all gone. So make sure you also have off-site backup. And backups are incredibly important. We have more than 20 years of experience with an IT company, and I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, a hard drive will always fail. It's just never know when it's gonna fail, but it's always on a location or in a time where you don't want it to fail. Okay, let me see. Thank you all, learned again. It's great to see you and your crew. Well, you only saw me, but thank you. And have you also made some photo shoots in New York? We actually did. We did a workshop for phase 1 with the 100 megapixel freaking amazing camera. So yes, and we have a video online very soon about that workshop. And let me see if we have any other questions. I think that is it. Okay, rest assured, we will be back. Thank you so very much for watching, guys, and see you online. And make sure you subscribe to our channel. And if you liked it, tell other people about it. Thank you so very much for watching. My name is Frank, and I'm signing off for this year's Digital Classroom. Bye-bye, guys.